Hi everybody, this is Michael Lynch, and today we're going to be talking about Saya on Nextcloud. So Nextcloud is a web application sort of similar to Dropbox or Google Drive. It shows you your files in a web format, so it lets you upload to cloud, but it's open source, so you can manage your own instance and put it on whatever server you want. So right now we're just looking at a demo that the Nextcloud site offers. But a few months ago, Saya put up an integration tool for putting Saya as the backend for Nextcloud. So this seemed pretty interesting. It was surprising that nobody really talked about this. The Nebulous team didn't really make a big deal of it. They posted this one YouTube video, but not a lot of people watched it, and I haven't seen a lot of people discuss it. So I decided to try playing around with their repo, the Saya Nextcloud repo, to get this working, and this is pretty interesting. So today we're going to try and use Docker and Docker Compose to get Saya and Nextcloud to work well together. So the first thing we're going to do, you can see these folders we've created. These are the folders for persistent data in both Saya and Nextcloud. So you can see they're all empty right now, but the Docker containers will put data in them once we start up the containers. So let's start that right now. And we do that by running Docker Compose up, which starts the containers. And so you can see right now it's building the containers from the images. And so it's starting with Saya. And so let's look at what that looks like. So this is the Docker file that defines the Saya container. And so we're defining what version of Saya we want to download, and how to find the package. So we're just downloading the 1.3.0, which is the latest release as of this recording. It's the Capricorn release. We're getting that from the GitHub release URL. We're also installing socat, wget, and unzip, which we need to download the archive and unzip it within our container. So the tricky thing here is we're using socat. So by default, Sia's API port is 9980, and you can see that we're setting it to the non-default port of 8000. The reason we do that is because we need the Docker container to listen on a non-localhost port. If it was listening only on localhost, we wouldn't have any way of accessing Saya from outside the container. And Saya is pretty conservative when it comes to security, so it doesn't, like, even if you say that you want to listen on a non-localhost port, it refuses to obey you, and so we have to do this kind of hacky workaround where we use socat to actually listen on 9980 on a non-localhost port and forward it to SiaD. The other thing that's interesting is that we are loading a subset of Saya's default modules. So by default, it will load the host module as well. We don't really need that, so we're loading just the gateway, consensus, transaction, pool, wallet, and renter modules, which is all we need. And you can see here, it looks like Saya has finished loading. And so we're going to open up another PowerShell window. And we can see the same thing here if we look at Docker Compose logs. And we want to run a command within our Docker container, so we can do that with docker exec-it. And let's see what SiaC says. And so you can see that it's already started syncing. And if we look at our Saya data folder, you can see that it's populated it with Saya's normal data folders. So the problem is this is going to run really slowly. So it's at 1.1%. It's going to slow down over time. We actually don't want to wait the entire time for Saya to finish downloading the blockchain, so we're going to cheat a little bit and stop this and turn down all our containers. We're just going to watch here so that it has a chance to close gracefully. But what we've done beforehand is go to siahub.info. I can show you that here. And they offer this really great thing, which is the snapshots of the blockchain. So I just downloaded this file, and that's available in my downloads folder. And so once this finishes closing, we are going to copy the consensus snapshot. So you can see it's today's snapshot, so it's 5.4 gigs. I'm actually a little impatient here, so we're just going to force this to close. It should be fine, but if it's not, then we'll deal. So we're just going to copy this and put it on top of our Saya consensus folder once Docker Compose finishes forcing the Saya container to close. Okay, so that's now done. You can see right now we've got a 8192K file. We're going to replace that. And this is going to finish in a few seconds. Okay, so that's done, and we're going to start this up again. You can see it's loading the consensus, so it's going to take a little bit longer because it has to reprocess the consensus snapshot that we downloaded. So hopefully that finishes soon. In the meantime, we're going to keep looking at the different files needed to create the Docker Compose config. So this is the Docker Compose YAML file. And so you can see here, this is the section that defines the Saya container. And so it's telling it that it's going to map the local machine's port 9980 to the Docker container's 9980 so that we can, from our host machine, access Saya. And we're also, this is mapping our local folders into the Saya container. So Saya data and Saya uploads are both mounted within the Saya container as /mount/Saya data and /mount/Saya uploads, as you can see. So nothing's in Saya uploads at the moment. And so then moving on to the Nextcloud config, the Nextcloud config is really simple. So Nextcloud already has a defined Docker container that the Nextcloud team maintains. We're just using that and exposing port 80, which is the default port for web servers. And in our Docker Compose file, we're mapping our own localhost's 8080 to the Docker container's port 80, just so on our localhost we don't have to run a privileged server to access the privileged port 80. And so we're pointing it to our Nextcloud Docker file. And we're also mounting volumes on it, so we're giving it access to Saya uploads and Nextcloud data. So you can see if we look at Nextcloud data, the Nextcloud container has populated this with all of its persistent data for the Nextcloud server. The other thing we've done is given Nextcloud access to our Saya container, because Nextcloud needs to use Saya as a backend, so it needs some way of sending API calls to it. So we're going to do that by linking the Saya container to under the name Saya D container within the Nextcloud container. So if we type ping Saya D container within the Nextcloud container, it will be able to access the Docker the Docker container for Saya. So this one's taking a little while, loading the transaction pool now. We're going to pause just because it's probably not that interesting to watch this load for 10 minutes. So I'm going to pause here and we'll come back in a few minutes. Okay, we're back now. And you can see that Saya has finished loading. It took about an hour. So, next thing we're going to try to do is load Saya UI. And so you can see that it's connected. We are synchronized because we downloaded a snapshot of the blockchain, so it synchronized really quickly. The interesting thing here is that normally when you start Saya UI, it loads its own instance of the Saya server. But in our case, we already have a Saya server running within the Docker container. And because we have it listening on port 9980, the Saya default API port, Saya UI is clever enough to just connect to that. And so you can see it's just like a blank Saya UI app that you would get if you loaded it with no information already. So it doesn't have our wallet information. I have a wallet seed with some money already in it, just so we don't have to wait for the transactions to go through. So we're going to load from there. And so we're going to paste in the seed. And you're going to get a lit of my passphrase, so don't steal that based on those 4 words. But if you do, I'll be really impressed, so go for it. So now it's going to initialize. I'm not sure how long this is going to take, but let's see if we can get some other information about what's happening. So let's see if we can just get the, so you can see we're accessing the same information. So you can see this is the blockchain here, there's the blockchain height here as well. It's just incremented, and so we can see the increment here also. And you can just do the normal things that you would do from the command line. You get a little bit more power from the command line. So it's going to probably take maybe a few minutes to finish scanning the blockchain. So I'm going to pause again and come back when it's finished loading the wallet. All right, and we're back. So it's finished loading the wallet, and now it just wants us to unlock it. So we're going to do that. And that's going to take a few minutes. Okay, so now the wallet is loaded. And you can see I've got 701 Sia coins. So now we're ready to create an allowance so that we can actually store files. So we're going to do that. Let's just do 700 Sia coins. And that should get us 3 terabytes of storage, which is a pretty good amount. So let's do that. And yes, I would. So I don't think the Sia UI actually shows us that much about what's happening, but we can do it with the command line. So it says we've allocated 7.6 Sia coins. No file's been uploaded. And so I think the command is contracts. So we formed 1 contract so far. And as we wait, we're going to form more and more contracts. So we're just at the 1 right now. So we're going to pause for a little bit. I'll come back in maybe 30 or 40 minutes. So we're back now, and we can see that we've got some contracts. We can see it in the CUI. You can see it here. And so now it means we can go into Nextcloud. So if we go to localhost 8080, it is broken for some reason. So what we're going to do, not sure why this is broken. This matched what the config given in Nextcloud's documentation gave. But we're just going to do a little bit of a hack here in getting rid of this volume. So we're going to do that and delete this folder. And it's going to come back to here, and let's say I'm going to gracefully stop Sia. And we're also going to compose down. Okay, so now I've turned it down. So without the mounted volume, we're not going to be able to persist the Nextcloud configuration. But that's okay, just as a demo. So we're going to do this again, and I'm going to bring it back up here. And so you can see, because we've gotten rid of that persistent storage folder, it's not populating it here. So now, if we go to localhost 8080, we've got Nextcloud. So we're just going to create an admin account. And password is admin, because we don't really care. If you're doing this for real, you probably want to set up a more secure password. And then we also have to, our wallet is locked again because we closed the Sia daemon, so we have to unlock that again. Okay, so now I've got our transactions, and we've got our host contracts. So now it's time to use Nextcloud. So the first thing we need to do is change some configuration settings. So we need to go to the applications, which is in here. And the first thing we need to do is enable external storage, because Sia is an external storage provider. So we've done that. Now that's enabled. And so then we have to go and install Sia as an app. And so it's just built in as one of the available options, Sia storage support. That's now enabled. And then we're going to go to admin, and where is it? External storage. And we're just going to call our folder Saya. It's the storage type Saya. And here we have to refer to it by the name we gave in the configuration file, SiaD container. And we're going to use the mount path that we gave in the compose config as well. And we want that available for all users, so that's fine. And it works. Cool. So now if we go back to files, you can see that we've got a Saya folder. There's nothing in there, which is expected. But let's see. So let's just download any file and see what happens. So we can download, let's say, the Saya UI itself. We can download, let's say, the Windows version, and we're going to put that in Saya. So let's just, in our Saya folder, we're putting this zip in. And so you can see we put it in here, and now the Saya UI is picking it up. There's a file transfer in progress, so you can see that. But let's try something easy. Let's try just a simple text file. So hello.txt, and the text file is going to say hello world. We save that, and we're going to put that in Saya as well. So we can see it here, and it's been uploaded, and boosting redundancy means it's got at least 1x, and we can see that here as well. And so in the web UI, we can see hello world. So that's neat. But it's not really interesting if we have to keep a local copy around. So when we upload to Nextcloud, it's actually putting it in the Sia uploads folder. And so we can't see based on the file names because it gives it a random file name. But if we just look at the file sizes, it's pretty obvious which one is which. So if we say we don't want to take up our local storage anymore, we want to, let's delete this copy of the hello.txt file, delete this copy too, just because we've already uploaded it. So now we've gotten rid of our local copy. So now the only copy of hello.txt is in the cloud. And so what happens if we click this? Hello.txt is currently being downloaded from Saya. So you can see now it shows up in the downloads. So it's going to take a little bit to download. And it's going, it's going. In the meantime, I'm going to download a movie trailer. Yeah, why not? 720p file. So that's downloading. It's going to go pretty fast. And so we're going to try doing this, moving this to Saya. You can see the upload that it's talking about here is uploading just to our local storage. So that's just to move it to the Saya uploads folder. And so you can see that's the 88676 file. So we're going to clear our downloads. And so you can see it's uploading this Dunkirk trailer. And while it's uploading, it's still holding it locally. So we can watch it in this in the web viewer. Maybe. Nope. Sometimes Nextcloud gets a little hung up and it doesn't actually let you watch it. So we're going to reload and try one more time and see if that works. Nope, Nextcloud is not cooperating. So we're going to reload. But it also works with pictures. So we've got some, do we have any sample pictures here? Nope. But let's just take something really simple, like this picture. And we're going to upload that. You can see we can view it in here. And that's being uploaded. You also notice we're uploading very small files. In practice, you wouldn't really want to do this because Saya does best on files that are above 40 meg. The minimum amount of storage you can rent per file is 40 meg. So for this 40K file, we're actually paying the storage costs of a 40 meg file. But that's gotten to at least 1x redundancy, so we could do the same experiment where we delete all of our copies. And it's going to be the most recently uploaded one. 39K looks about right. And so now we're going to try to load it. I think that's actually just pulling from cache. Now it looks like the cache is gone. So yeah, that's maybe not as interesting a demo because for images, the browser itself is just caching it. So it's not, you can see it's not showing up here. We'll try giving this Dunkirk trailer one more try, but no, it doesn't like that. But as you can see, this is a nice UI for managing your files on Saya. It lets you have a nice web UI for managing the files, and you can delete your local copies, and Nextcloud will download them on demand. And in the background, it manages uploading and downloading the files through Saya. So I hope you enjoyed this tutorial, and check out the blog for the instructions on how to do this on your own.